Really?
Okay.
I'm trying to record
We
it.
need a mic? Okay. Gerard O Sullivan is our guest speaker today. His long title is the Assistant Deputy Commissioner for Consumer Affairs at the Connecticut Insurance Department. I had the pleasure of lunching today with Gerard, and he brings 20 years of experience with the department. I asked him about every kind of insurance I could think of, and he knew all about them. So he knows wherever he speaks. And he likes to go around and give talks like this and educate people on matters of insurance. He's undergraduate from Quinnipiac University and has an MBA from RPI. And he and his colleague Lisa have come down from Hartford, and we welcome them and look forward to your comments.
So how long did you say you want me to talk? Because I'll go on forever.
4 hours.
Nobody listens to me at home, so I get out here.
25 minutes.
25 minutes,
Yeah,
right.
something like it.
And again, I can go on, but really appreciate being here. It's great to get out and meet folks, and really what we're trying to do, and if you remember one thing out of this talk, if you will, yourself, relatives, neighbors, whatever it may be, if you have any problems with insurance, call us. We can help you. Insurance is very complicated, and there is a state agency that helps you out, can point you in the right direction. Even if we can't change the decision of the insurance company, we can give you the peace of mind that they did do it properly, and we can give you some hints in the future for how to get those things covered, or what type of policy you would need for it to be covered in the future. But always keep that in mind, and why don't we just get to the next slide? So you can't read that from back there, but the insurance department is about 165 people. We're a small agency as it is, but we're really a cash cow. We recover, or not recover, we add hundreds of millions of dollars per year to the general fund in Connecticut through our appointment fees, through fees that we put on insurance policies, to fund several state agencies, to fund vaccinations, to assist on, I don't know if any of you heard about the issues that were going on with crumbling foundations in the northeast part of the state. There's a $12 fee on all homeowners insurance policies, and that recovers hundreds of millions of dollars to get those homes fixed and put back on, people put back into their homes. But our mission is to serve consumers in a professional and timely manner by providing assistance and information to the public and to policymakers. We work very closely with legislators. Insurance is always changing, so we need to make sure that we're getting information back from the public, and we work very closely with the legislature to suggest laws that need to be passed to better protect the public and to better open up the market. We want to regulate the insurance industry in a fair and efficient manner, which promotes a competitive and financially sound insurance market for consumers. And again, we can't just constantly go to the insurance companies and say you must do this. It's an open economic system, so if they don't want to play in this state, they don't have to. They can pull up roots and they can go somewhere else. And that's something we always have to be mindful for. The best thing that we can do for consumers is have a competitive market so the economic forces drive prices lower. Enforce the insurance laws to ensure that consumers are treated fairly and are protected from unfair practices. Insurance is regulated on a state-by-state basis. So the laws in Connecticut are different than they are in New York or Rhode Island or Massachusetts. And that's done because we want our insurance markets to work for Connecticut consumers. Next slide. So I'm gonna run through these really quickly because I really want to take your questions at the end, but this is kind of a quick chart of the department. The Life and Health and Property and Casualty divisions, they review the forms, the filings, to make sure that they adhere with state laws in Connecticut. They make sure that any policy that you have, that you purchase, it follows state laws. The Financial Regulation Unit, the Accuarial Unit, they both work in concert to make sure that insurance companies are around to pay the bills as they come due. They're very good at collecting your premiums. We want to make sure that they're around to pay the bills when you need them. So by far the largest portion of our department is financial professionals, actuaries who look to make sure that the insurance companies are on sound financial footing. They look at their financial statements on a quarterly and yearly basis. The worst thing that can happen is for a company to go out of business. We do have, for the first time in many, many years, a receivership for an insurance company in Connecticut, and we're going through that right now, which is, a horrible thing to happen, but, we did get in place early enough so that, the company can be rehabilitated and hopefully sold off, and, there's no loss to consumers. So we're dealing with that from policyholders for this company from all over the country. And, we're fielding those issues. There's limits put on of the money that people can pull out of the company by law. The Consumer Affairs Unit, that's our area, and we're very small. There's 15 of us in a small clerical unit, and we handle every complaint for the 3.5, 3.6 residents in the state of Connecticut. Any issue that comes up, we handle it. We're on the phones Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, and we have information on our website 24/7. You can go there and get information that you need. We want to get the information from consumers. People are always, I don't want to bother anybody, but the complaints that we receive let us know what's going on in the industry in real time. So if there's something going wrong, a company or an individual is treating somebody unfairly, it's going to come to our attention and we're going to take action. Next. So what we do, and I pretty much have gone through this, is we'll receive the complaint from the consumer, we'll write out to the insurance company, we'll get a response back from them, then we'll look at the state laws, we'll look at the contract, and we'll make sure that that they've handled the claim correctly. We'll respond back to the consumer in writing, tell them what our findings were. Hopefully we can get the company to agree to additional payments or additional coverage. But if not, we'll let the consumer know why and what their options are for the future. Next. We're going to take information from folks however they want to do it. We're there 5 days a week. I have folks there. We still get walk-ins. We used to get quite a few before COVID, at least 1 or 2 a day. Now it's probably, one a week, if that. Yeah. But the governor wants to make sure that we are there, that consumers, if they want to walk into the old G Fox building and come up and meet with us, we'll sit down and we'll talk to them and we'll walk them through their problems. And we'll take it, like as we said, anyway. We still get stuff handwritten from people. Luisa also is very helpful to us in that we'll get people writing to us in Spanish. So we're able to have that information, interpreted and help people out wherever they come. And this is probably I don't think it's on here, maybe it's on another slide, but it's a very easy to remember email address, insurance@ct.gov. So if you ever need to contact us, that's our main email address for Consumer Affairs. Next.
Yes, please.
And if you have any questions, just raise your hand. There'll be some time at the end as well, but if you don't want to hear me, just go on. As I said before, insurance is very specialized these days. So my 15 folks are split into 3 separate units: property and casualty, homeowners, auto insurance, commercial, pet insurance, extended warranties. There's portable electronic insurance is another. We regulate if you drop your phone, that insurance that will replace your phone. We handle that as well. So we have people who handle all those. Workers' compensation as well. Life and annuity unit, at this point it's just one individual. Back in 2008 when we had the financial meltdown, we had probably 6 or 7 people working in that unit. But he was an agent for 30 years. I've never seen anybody explain insurance to somebody better than this person does. So if you ever have any questions on your life insurance or annuity, call our line there. You can talk to Larry and he can help you out. Accident and health unit, that would be medical, disability, long-term care, dental. All of those things are top of mind these days. I was mentioning at the table that that's probably 2 of the biggest issues we're running into right now is medical insurance to do with the loss of the advanced premium tax credits. There's still a lot of trepidation in that area for people to be able to afford insurance. So we're hoping that that gets settled soon. Long-term care is probably one of the hardest things that me and my folks have to deal with. We have no good answers for folks. You know, these are products that were sold 20, 30 years ago. People have been paying into them, and they're getting rate increases that are just pricing them out of the product. But we were able to pass laws that, you know, the companies are required to give options to consumers so they can reduce their benefits, so they can still keep it affordable for them. But those are hard choices. People get angry because they've been paying into it for 20, 30 years, and when they're getting close to using the insurance, it's unaffordable for them. But we really try to remind people that insurance isn't really a tangible thing. It's protection. You're purchasing that protection. So even if you haven't used an insurance policy, say your homeowner's insurance, if you never use it, that's hopefully what you want to do. But if you do have to use it, it's there, and they're going to have to pay out. For the long-term care insurance folks, you know, they say to us, I've been paying into it for 25 years, and you know, we remind them that if something had happened, God forbid, a week after you purchased the policy, the company would have had to pay out the limits of that policy, even though you had only paid maybe one premium payment. So, you know, you got to keep that in mind, that you're purchasing protection, not really a tangible asset. Next. Property and casualty, just some of the things that we do for consumers. I talked about these things. The homeowner's appraisal process, that's constantly what we're telling folks when they get into arguments with their homeowner's insurance policies about claims. There are ways within your policy that you can settle these things short of going to court. So we'll work people through those things. We'll also, you know, attempt to mediate these settlements with the insurance companies and the individual. Next. Health insurance, I was mentioning before at the table. Again, insurance is regulated on a state-by-state basis with one exception, health insurance. So if you work for a large employer, you don't have insurance. Your employer is going to self-fund their health plan. So they're actually using their own assets to pay your claims. You know, they'll hire an Anthem or an Aetna or a Cigna to be the third-party administrator, and they'll do the claims, but all of the money is coming from your employer to pay those. And because of that, that's under ERISA. It doesn't follow Connecticut law. So Connecticut has, I think they're number 2 in the country for the number of mandates they require in their health insurance, for, you know, colonoscopies, for infertility, for breast imaging, those types of things as well. So we'll get calls from folks and saying, I'm not supposed to pay for this, or this is supposed to be without a deductible, and we have to break the news to them that your plan isn't covered under that because it's under federal jurisdiction. And at this point, I think when I came on to the department 20 years ago, it was over 50% of the commercial market was under our jurisdiction. Now it's less than 25%. And again, those are choices that, you know, that employers have to make. They want to give you as many benefits as they can, but, you know, costs are a very big issue. Some of the other things that we're running into, and this may come into play, if you have people who are, you know, kind of in that area between they've already retired, but they have to pay for their health insurance until they reach 65. It's going to be the most expensive on those folks without these advanced premium tax credits. So they start going online and looking for other policies, and you can't always believe everything you see on the internet. So we get a lot of people, unfortunately, they purchase these policies and they're not paying what they thought they should have paid. So make sure that you go to our website or you call us. If something is too good to be true, it usually is. There's a lot of things out there that's, you know, limited discount plans. You know, there's faith-based health sharing ministries that they're called. And we get people who sign up for them. They think they're the greatest thing until they have a claim that the health-based ministry decides they're not going to cover. And a lot of what we see is, you know, mental health treatment or, you know, substance abuse treatment because they feel, you know, that's not being a good Christian or under their health, under their faith-based plan. Next. Life and annuity. I don't really want to go into a lot about this, but as I said, any issues that you run into with your life insurance or your annuities, call us on the department. We can walk you through it and help you with those issues. Next. Oh, I do. If you could go back. Sorry. You see this down here, Lost Life Insurance Finder. This is something that the federal government was very concerned with the life and the annuity companies, that they weren't trying very hard to connect people with their funds for people who had passed away. So they required all the insurance companies, and this is done through the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, which, Connecticut and every state has an insurance commissioner, so there's an association of them. If you have a relative who has passed away, I would recommend that you go to our website, click on this, put their information in. You have to attest that, that you're a relative and that they have passed away, and they will search every insurance company that does business in the United States for any policies under that person's name. Since this was put into place, I think in 2016 or 2017, we have recovered over $200 million for Connecticut consumers. So, and it keeps, the more people know about it, the more we're finding. So in the last year, we had $25 million found. So you can go to our website, doesn't cost anything, and they'll get in touch with you if they find a policy. Next. Anyway, what do you think the number one complaint we receive?
Premiums.
Yes.
Healthcare.
You guys are smart. My insurance premium is too high.
All that's true.
So what do we tell them?
It's gonna get worse.
There you go. I don't want to say that to them. No, it is true. That is the number one complaint that we have. But again, with insurance, there are options. And again, as I said, it's not a tangible thing. And insurance is very personal. The one thing that I have a problem with when they talk about the Affordable Care Act, affordable to whom? And you can ask that to anybody about any insurance. So, you walk people through and you have options. You can, you don't have to have, the platinum plan for everything. If you have the ability, and what is your risk potential, what is your risk, what's the amount of risk that you're willing to take on, there are options that you can have to lower your premium. Next. So I talked about this before, insurance is regulated on a state-by-state basis. You can be forceful with these insurance companies, but they can move. The best thing that we can do is we can make it an attractive marketplace for insurance companies to be. And they want to be in Connecticut for the most part, because we're a very wealthy state. We're a smaller state, it's easy to do business here. Regulation is very good. The more companies we have fighting for your business, the cheaper it's going to be. They got to lower their prices so that they can be attractive in this marketplace. So that's what we try to do. Next.
Excuse me, so what exactly does Connecticut do to make it attractive for an insurance company to operate here?
To the insurance companies to make it attractive? We'll, through our regulation, we make it easier for them to submit, new policy forms, get those things done as well. We work with them to say, all right, here's our concerns. This is what we would like to do. We're doing that right now on, home insurance. That's probably one of the biggest issues we're running into. An excellent article if you are an insurance nerd like me. The New York Times came out with a national review of homeowners insurance and where it's profitable. Very few states are they profitable right now, and you're seeing companies pull out. One of the few states where it's profitable is Connecticut. And again, a lot of that has to do with, we've been very lucky, knock on wood, that we haven't had much in the way of, natural catastrophes. But part of that is the way that we allow them to do business and allow them to choose where they want to, write their policies and how they want to do this work. Yes?
I'm curious about flood insurance and housing that's built along the coast and on the rivers that get flooded repeatedly over the years,
Yeah.
and yet they're still allowed to buy insurance, or they're subsidized, or their house is rebuilt at taxpayer expense. Is there a way to start saying to those people, you can't live there anymore?
There is, and they do that in starts and stops. Just about 5 or 6 years ago, they came up with a formula that they were gonna say that they want the insurance. And the NFIP, the National Flood Insurance Program, is the largest insurer, and it's federal, so it's not under our jurisdiction. But there are more and more private flood insurance companies that do business here. And that's more to do with the cost of homes in Connecticut because the coverages are very low on the NFIP. But they did try to pass that. They tried to make it so that these premiums are actuarially equivalent to what the risk is, and they keep delaying putting that together. So, but there are requirements. If you have over 50% of damage to your home, you're gonna have to raise it to what the new, water levels, safe water levels would be, those things that are done, and you have to have insurance on those places. But if it's done again, and that's up to the individual areas as well, the state as well as the zoning laws, as to who's allowed to build there and why. Yes?
A similar question, what's going on in Florida and California? Can you still get homeowners insurance because of hurricanes and fires and all?
You can, but it's very, very expensive. I was talking about this before, even in Connecticut. I grew up, the first house I bought in Connecticut in East Lyme, I was, maybe a half a mile from the water, and it cost me $330 a year for my insurance. I moved a mile inland into Montfort, and a much bigger house. I'm paying almost $5,000 a year for homeowners insurance. And it's just, that's what the wind will do, for those types of risks. But there are no easy answers, and as I said, those other things that you talked about, that original question, what we do with the companies, we look at what the loss ratios are for the insurance companies, and we're like, why are you putting more requirements? Why are you dropping policies? Why are you tightening up your underwriting? Why are you putting these limits? We're seeing a lot of people get non-renewed from their insurance company because their roof is older than 15 years old. But the insurance company can do that. There's nothing in the law that says you have to write a home that has a 20-year-old roof. They can write what they want. What we have to do is say, why are you so concerned about this? You're making money. Let's talk. Let's see what your concerns are and see what we can do. And the department is working on a resiliency plan with the governor to work on making shoreline communities more resilient to floods, thinking about, big picture, and it's not just under the insurance department, but, what are they gonna do with these building codes? We work very closely with the Institute for Business and Home Safety, and they do an unbelievable job of saying, okay, this, which costs very little to add on to a home, is going to make it so much more secure for a hurricane or wildfires or whatever it may be.
Are you seeing anything interesting happening with cyber insurance?
Yes, that's a constant, that's on the, more on the commercial side, which, we don't, my area, consumer affairs doesn't get much from businesses. We do, but it is a big concern, and the property and casualty division, works with those forms and policies. And there's also requirements that we put on the companies for the internally, what their requirements are. You'll see all these data breaches. And we put out information about what consumers can do. We'll get a lot of calls on those types of things, but there are requirements on that, and that's something we work in concert with other states through the National Association of Insurance Commissioners to make sure that we're getting the products that businesses need to cover those concerns. I am running out of time, but I just quickly wanted to go over this, and this is what we talked about when we said my premium is too high, what can I do? We tell people that every year you should review your policies. Look for any changes. It used to be that I worked for Nationwide in the past for 15 years. I was a sales manager, and it was great. You had an agent and you stayed with them for life. You built that relationship, you trusted that person. That's kind of not the way that insurance is sold anymore, unfortunately. And they're not as, the insurance companies aren't as committed to you as you are to them. So we always recommend to folks, you don't have to switch, but go out and see what that relationship with your agent is costing you on a premium dollar basis. And also look at what your deductibles are. If it's too expensive, get a quote with a higher deductible. or, you know, you can take on more risk on different policies. Next. If you look at these, I left these outside and don't really have the time to go through it, but this is a shopper's guide to homeowners insurance and auto insurance. And there's some questions in there, things that you can do to make your policy more affordable through changes to your policy. Next. Next. And we'll get this, do you have an email chain to folks? We can send this to you and you can look through this. And there's a lot of really great links. Connecticut is one of the states that...
I'll send it out. If you send me an email, I'll send it out.
We will, but one of the things that you should be aware of, if you're over 60 and you take a safe driver course, there's a requirement in statute that they give you at least a 5% discount. So it's really, you know, I just turned 60 and I just took the thing and 5%, I think I got 10% off. And it was very worth it.
When you look at the PowerPoint, when you do get the PowerPoint, these are links, so if you're not sure where to go, like, you can just click on the links.
And it's on our website as well.
Yep.
Great. Next. Same thing with homeowners. You know, there are options you can have, but again, anytime that you're increasing your deductible, taking on a wind deductible, a hurricane deductible, whatever it may be, and because you guys live on the shoreline, you know, if you ever have any questions, you're like, why is this on my policy? I don't understand this. Give us a call. We can walk you through it and we can explain it to you. Next. Next. And these are just some things that you might want to consider with, you know, homeowners. You always, the company isn't bending over backwards to give you discounts. So a lot of times you're like, hey, why aren't I getting something for this? I'm paying for this Ring camera. I'm paying for this burglar alarm. Just make sure that you're getting all you're entitled to. Next. Consumer affairs. We recover on average over $6 million a year for Connecticut consumers in underpaid or wrongly denied claims. You know, we handle about 7,000 cases per year. These guys do an unbelievable job. But, you know, everything in insurance is kind of a gray area. So there's negotiations to be had. You know, most insurance companies are really good. They're trying to do the right thing, but they have pressures on them as well to settle a claim and get it done in this way. But we say, well, what about this? And, you know, we'll push back. Just wanted to quickly tell you of one case. We work, the day after Thanksgiving is not a state holiday, and normally I work. We talked about this in the meeting this morning. I was like, who's working the day after Thanksgiving? And I said, just like every other year, I will be in the office hiding from my in-laws. But one year, a guy came in, and he actually lived down here, but he was up in Hartford at a family's house for Thanksgiving. And he said, I have this problem with my policy. And so we sat down, and you know, it's not anything that I'm going to say, oh, this is the problem. It's, we got to get the information, we got to send it out to the insurance company, and you know, we'll find out what's going on. So we did that, and we got the response back from the insurance company. It was health insurance. And even the person who came in is like, I'm not sure anything's wrong, but it just doesn't seem right. So he sent it back to us, and long story short, we found out that they had wrongly charged him, and there was a glitch in their claims paying software. So they weren't properly shutting things off after deductibles were paid. And this was going on for about 2.5 years, and nobody recognized this. And it wasn't just happening in Connecticut, it was happening in 4 other states. This one person coming in, it was over $4 million recovering. It was less than $1 million in Connecticut, but still, it was, I think he got back, you know, maybe $700, $800. But there was about 4,000 or 5,000 other people in Connecticut who got money back just for this one person raising their hand and saying, hey, I think something might be wrong here. You know, it wasn't anything the insurance company was doing vindictively or anything like that, but they did get a very sizable fine, and we required them to go back and re-adjudicate all these claims, give the money back, and make sure that this wouldn't happen again. So never think that, and unfortunately that's what people think is, oh, it's the insurance company, they must be right. They're wrong often enough. And I did just, I went way over, but do we have anything at the end? Just...
Any other questions?
Can you talk more about the Affordable Care? Yeah, we're reading a lot about that in the news, and it's going to change, and there's this big, you know, apocalypse coming in. Give us the...
Well, I can give you my own personal, my son just aged off my policy. He turned 26 in September, so he's losing his health insurance coverage at the end of the year. And he's, you know, he just graduated from college, he's got, you know, a degree in accounting, and he's working for a CPA just part-time, and he's a bartender the other part of the time. But, you know, he makes enough that because of the new rules and the new advanced period tax credits being gone, he won't be able to afford a policy. And he's, you know, 26 years old. So, you know, what do you tell him? What do? You just...
You told me that his premium at age 26 would be $1,600 a month for a not so good policy, without the subsidies.
He had to though. It was a gold policy because he's got some health issues that, you know, he needs medications, and, you know, we did the calculations so that it would be out of pocket and those types of things as well. But and again, it's the youngest of the young who are off their parents' insurance, and then it's also that group of people who, you know, they decided to retire early and they were paying out of pocket until they reach 65 and go on Medicare. But they are getting increases which are just astronomical. Yeah.
Years ago, when I was in insurance, we always viewed Hartford the insurance capital of the country.
It is.
It's still viewed as,
Not Hartford, the state of Connecticut.
well, no, we always thought that Hartford was.
We say Connecticut, the insurance capital of the world. We have a couple of taglines on some of our stuff.
Yeah.
And we, you know, some of the other, you know, talks that I give or the commissioner gives, we have the stats and figures, but, you know, Connecticut is such a small state. We have the amount of money that we have under our jurisdiction is, I think, third or fourth in the country after California and Texas and New York. So it's amazing how many companies are, you know, here. And part of the reason that they stay here and part of the reason that they come here is because of the incredible work that our financial division does, that our you know, property and casualty and life and annuity areas do as well. The regulators really know their stuff. Our commissioner, Andrew Mays, was the president of the NAIC last year. So we're really at the forefront of insurance regulation, making sure that people are protected. So, but I just ask you guys one thing, again, tell your neighbors, tell your relatives, anybody who you talk to and they say, oh, I got into an accident, I'm having this problem with my insurance company, that is what we are there for. We can help you cut through the red tape, and again, we give you that peace of mind that, you know, the company is treating you properly, and there's other things that we can offer you in suggestions on, you know, things that can be done under your policy that you might not be aware of.
Great.
Thank you.